Hey guys, I'm Adam. Welcome back or welcome to the Vintage Sanctuary. I decided to do a special 1980s and 1990s edition showing pretty much all the cards that I have from the glorious 1980s and 1990s in honor of Brian, the high pop professor who just started a channel but has been a long time subscriber of mine and probably for some of you as well who have YouTube channels. Just an absolutely fantastic guy. Actually, Alan of Iconic Baseball is his brother. And they just did a collaborative video where they talked about hobby focus. And I thought it was just absolutely fantastic. So I will link to that video. I will link to Brian's channel. Without further ado, let me turn this camera around and let's check out the 1980s and the 1990s. All right, first of all, now I have shown these cards before, but I thought I would go ahead and show them again. These are gifts from Brian. Now his channel used to be, hopefully I'm saying it correctly, simply Amazing. Well, he wasn't making any content, but that was his YouTube name. But now he's the High Pop Professor, which I think is a fantastic name. And some time ago, before he started making content, he gifted me this 87 Topps Traded Steve Carlton Tiffany in a fine 9, as well as this 88 Greg Maddux, the Professor, Tiffany version. So a couple of fantastic cards, and he shared this note. And again, I've shown these, but I'm going to show them again. Hey, Adam, I really enjoyed your GOATs video the other week, but there was a lack of a certain professor represented. I want to share a few of my duplicates to help you fill this GOAT gap. Enjoy the shine. These 96 and 97 Bowman's Best refractors are just so gorgeous, Brian. So yeah, go check out his channel. Send some love his way. I did this GOATs video a long time ago, and I talked about, like the all-around GOAT, Willie Mays, and I think the slugging GOAT, Babe Ruth, and like the hobby GOAT, at least post-war, Mickey Mantle, that sort of thing. The Steals GOAT, Ricky Henderson. And so Brian sent some glorious cards my way, and he also sent some shine my way, which was mentioned in the note. He sent me this 97 Bowman's Best refractor. Yeah. Yeah, they really knew how to. You know what? I'm going to go all out here. I like cards to be protected, but what the heck? I'm going to go all out, and we're just going to enjoy the glorious shine. I know that Brian's a huge fan, so I am going to risk taking that out of the soft sleeve. And then he also gave me this Bowman's Best preview refractor in a fine 9 as well. I mean, who doesn't love the grade of 9? It's like sometimes the perfect grade where you're getting essentially a perfect card, pretty much, but you're not paying the 10 tax. So yeah, I love those. Now, here's the deal, Brian and everybody else, guess what? I just bought my first Greg Maddux card. So the ones that you gave me, I'm really stoked to have. And so what did I add? Here's the deal with this card. Well, let me show it to you first. The 2022 Topps Gilded Mini Diamonds, Greg Maddux. Oh, that is so glorious. I love these mini diamonds. And out of 50, this is number 4 out of 50. Boy, this guy had an insane WAR, 104.9. Wow. So I'm going to put that up there and let it shine away with the other Maddux cards that Brian generously gifted to me some time ago. All right, let me tell you a little bit about this card. So I have several 2022 Topps gilded cards now that are graded. They happen to all be graded by PSA. And I thought about sharing them all, but I thought, well, I'll leave that for another video. So this 2022 is the only card you'll see in this video that's not from the 80s or 90s. And the seller, I think he wanted like $69, buy it now, no best offer. I'm not sure exactly, but that sounds about right. And then he kept coming down over time, a few bucks at a time. And finally he got down to 50. And I'm like, man, I almost pulled the trigger. There was a buy it now for like $100 that I think might still be on eBay. And then he came down to like 45, and I'm like, man, I should really pull the trigger. And then he went down to like 42 and back up to 45. Finally, he came down to 40, and I said, this is freaking ridiculous. I mean, are you kidding me? The Greg Maddux, 18-time Gold Glove, the Gold Glove King, one of the best pitchers ever when you really, really dig into it. I mean, wow, $40? Now, some of you, value is in the eyes of the beholder. So some of you might say, hey, that's too much to spend. But I thought it was a steal of a deal. All right, so this video is in honor of Brian. I know I said that, but what the heck, I'll say it again. Okay, right here on camera, I'm going to carefully put this back in because we want that to be protected. And let me move these so we can make room for what's coming next. So we're going to move on to the 1980s, starting with 1980. I only have one card from 1980, but oh, is it glorious. The 80 Topps Mike Schmidt in a great 8. Look at that. I mean, centered, stunning, vibrant. And then I love the blue on the back. I mean, this card is really, really nice. I mean, when you think about it, an 8 is, generally speaking, a really, really nice card. Now, that's the only card I have from 1980, and I do not yet have anything from 1981 or 1982 or 1983. It's possible maybe I have, I think I probably do, actually. To be fair, I do. Maybe a base Topps card that was gifted to me in my treasure chest, cannot say it, of gifts that fellow YouTubers have sent my way. But as far as graded cards, we now move on to 1984, and we're starting with Ricky Henderson in a Mint 9, the 84 Topps Tiffany. You're going to see a theme here. Have I shown these before? Yes, but I like to show my cards because, hey, I got them to share them. So let me know which ones you like or, like the best or where your collection is going. And now we move on to the 84 Topps Tiffany Reggie Jackson in a great 8 as well. I mean, that to me, this is such a stunning card. And I paid, I don't know, I think maybe $16 or something, just not much, which to me is just insane. By the way, you're going to see a theme here. Henderson starts with an H, and then we move on the alphabet J for Jackson, and then we jump all the way up to R for Ryan. The 84 Topps Tiffany Nolan Ryan in an 8. I tell you what, you cannot beat the inaugural edition of Topps Tiffany. I mean, elegance and class and, limited. Available, but not too available, especially in these nice higher grades. And they're flagship Topps. They're kind of like parallels or varieties. I mean, I think they're just really awesome. And I actually think in the future, there'll be more collectors, going after the Tiffany's as opposed to the base cards because of the just the beauty. They have the gloss, the somewhat limited. I realize they're not rare, but somewhat limited, but yet available if you want to get them. And then the backs are just really, really vibrant. Of course, each their own. Some people will go after these Tiffany's, others will not. Let me move these. We're still sticking with 84 because now we move to S. This is the Schmidt All-Star, and I believe this was gifted to me by Picker Jim S. in this great ace 8. What a fantastic gift. I guess I should show it this way. From Picker Jim S. Thank you, Jim, some time ago. And then in a fine 9, his base card, 84 Tiffany base card of Mike Schmidt, a.k.a. Chuck Norris. So that ends 84. We're going to move on to 85. So let me go ahead and move these to make some room. You can tell I was doing Tiffany runs of certain players, but for 85, we're going to start with B, Berra. When he was a Yankees manager. I just love this card. I think it's absolutely stunning. This was gifted to me by Sammy, SFI Sports Cards. So Sammy, I tell you what, he just, checked a lot of boxes with that one. I love Yogi Berra. I like Yankees, although I'm not one of these Yankees fans that, it's like I like all the teams, really. I like all all the great players. I can rejoice in Yankee championships as well as Yankees championships as well as Dodgers championships. So, hey, I basically love them all. But we're talking Yankees, we're talking Yogi Berra, we're talking Topps Tiffany. So, yeah, he really checked a lot of boxes with that gift. So thank you so much, Sammy. And then now we move on to H. So we've got... Man, I love this card. The colors are just fantastic. And that green on the back, this is one of my favorite. The backs of the 85 Topps Tiffany's are some of my favorites. So in a grade 8, we've got the Ricky Henderson. Well, you know what? Sometimes I try to be disciplined in my collection, but sometimes I'm not as disciplined as I could be, because I've also got a fine 9. Now, I mean, both of these cards are just gorgeous. And what I think is kind of funny is I'm not sure I could tell you the difference. And I tend to be picky, but I'm not sure I could tell you the difference really between that 8 and that 9. I mean, maybe a slight centering difference, but yeah. Or maybe there is no difference. Maybe that's the key. Let's see. We're still in 85. We're still in 85. By the way, I graduated from high school in 1982. And, that was the last year I was cool. But even then, it was debatable. There was a debate. The debate was between me and everyone else. I thought I was cool, but, nobody else did. All right, continuing in 85, we've got, we went, let's see, Henderson, but we're still with Henderson. Still in the H's, the Topps traded Tiffany. So for 85, Henderson has 2 cards. One with the A's and then one with the Yankees. And again, that glorious lime green. And still in 85, we move on from H, jumping to J, Reggie Jackson. What a beautiful card. And then jumping to R, Nolan Ryan. I mean, these 85s. The 84s, the 85s. I love them both. Well, yeah. I mean, I basically buy just the cards that I love, but, as time goes on, I'm loving more and more cards, so that's kind of scary, because what are you supposed to do? Well, that's when you go and you watch Brian, the High Pop Professor's conversation with his brother about collecting Focus, and then you try to get focused. Finishing out 85, at least for me, with what I have, the 85 Topps Tiffany Mike Schmidt, a.k.a. Chuck Norris. So what is my collecting focus? That's got to be another video, because this one's going to get longer anyway. I have some thoughts. I'm trying to keep it, trying to stay within some reasonable focus. Well, we are moving on. We are moving on to 1986. And we'll start with B, Barry Bonds. I was so stoked to get this card, the 86 Topps traded Barry Bonds Tiffany in an 8. And I tell you what, this 8 is just stunning. I got it at auction a while ago, and I thought I got a really nice price on it too. So I was super stoked to get that card. And then moving on to H, the Ricky Henderson. I tell you what, this is a tough card to get centered, and I found this 8 that's centered better than most 9s that I've seen, but yeah, this 86 set, wow. I mean, man, I don't know. It might be my favorite among the 80s, base sets. But anyway, Tiffany, we're sticking with, they're all Tiffany's. Topps Tiffany Reggie Jackson. Wow, with the black and the big, bold angels up there. I mean, wow. In a mint 9. I thought this card, and the red on the back, I thought all these cards were a steal. I got to thinking about, check that trio out. Wow. I got to thinking about, what causes us to buy something? And I'm sure there's different ways to look at it, and I'm sure this is not always the case, but it's like we all have our own market in our mind. And then there's the actual market, right? Like I think, for example, with this card, I valued it more than the actual market does. So I was really, really stoked to pay to get it. And thought I was getting a bargain, when in fact, maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was paying market value, or maybe above market value. But to me, it was a bargain because I valued it more than the market currently does. And it seems to me, One of the ways sales happens is when we individually value something more than the market does. I don't know, maybe that's just stating the obvious, but perhaps a thought worth exploring or a thought worth moving on from. But sticking with the glorious 86 Topps, we are moving now to R, Nolan Ryan, in an SGC 8.5. Is that guy intimidating or what? Yeah, he might walk a few people. He might walk a lot of people, but you know what? He'll intimidate you in the process. Don't try to kick his butt either. That'd be a bad idea. And then moving on to Schmidt, a.k.a. Mike Norris, in an 8. I got this card, and when I got it, I said, oh, it is so nice that, this is my forever 1986 Topps Mike Schmidt Tiffany. But then guess what happened, guys? You can probably guess what happened. This 9 came along at a decent price, and I'm like, yeah, I want that 9. Why? Because it's a higher grade? Well, I guess maybe that factored in too. It's like, hey, if I didn't have to pay that much more for the 9 than the 8. So it's almost like a little cost averaging. It's like, heck yeah, I'll take that 9 for not much more than the 8, and then I'll have, so I probably ought to give, the 8 away or sell it or something, but for now, I'm really pleased to have both of them. I mean, to me, that is just a stunning card. This 86 Topps design, wow. Topps really, really nailed it, in my humble opinion. All right, well, you can guess where we're going next, because after all, 87 comes after 86. Now, here's the deal. For 87, I got a whole bunch of Barry Bonds, and he's the first alphabetically since Bond starts with a B, so we're going to go through my Bonds first here. And we're going to move out of the domain of the Tiffany's into the classic travel yellowback in a 9. I had a few more of these that I gave away to some friends, and but, send them back to me. I want them back. No, I'm just joking. And now that's a 9. This is the same card in a 9. So, do I need this many of these? And this is the same card in a 9. So, I might end up giving a couple of these away and just being down to one. I've got somebody in mind who I know would really love one of these, but look at that. Wow. Check that trio out. Is that a color match or what? Now this to me is, I was paying I don't even know, I don't know. It was not much for these. Around the grading fee, which to me is insane. Barry Bonds rookies, they're relatively low pop. Compared to the more, I guess you could say, the more mainstream Barry Bonds rookies. So super stoked to have these. I'll probably give one or two away and just be down to one at some point, because do I really need that many? Heck yeah, I do. All right, what's this? The same thing? No. This is the greenback in BGS 9. Now, during the pandemic, the greenback, by the way, there's probably they estimate 2 yellowbacks for every greenback, but in my humble opinion, there's probably a lot less greenbacks. So much scarcer. Now, I bought that during the pandemic, and, it's come down in value quite a bit. So I bought this PSA 9. So I guess you could call it some cost averaging, because I think I paid half as much for this PSA 9 because the price had came down. So, happy to have both of those. And at some point, maybe I'll sell the Beckett, just because I don't mind Beckett slabs. Actually, I kind of like the slab. As long as it's not a shiny card, I don't mind the inner sleeve so much. But for shiny cards, I really don't care for the Beckett slab. But anyway, at some point, I might sell, trade, or maybe give away the greenback and in the Beckett, and then keep the PSA, but we shall see. And then, I love this card. The Fleer Barry Bonds Hottest Stars. I think this is such a beautiful card. And, not super high pop either. Yeah, they're available, but I tell you what, some of these cards, in my opinion, when you can get them without paying too much, and there's some of the, relatively lower pop rookies, I think that's pretty sweet. And that is precisely why I got them. So let me move these and make some room. Will we ever get out of 87? We move on to the Leaf. Oh, man, I love this Leaf in a 9. Barry Bonds. Wow. As I've thought about getting a Greg Maddux card as I had thought about getting one, and I ended up getting that 2022 gilded. I also thought about his Leaf rookie because I think that's really a stunning card, and I think it's up for the Card Hall of Fame as one of the options that we can vote on. I already did my ballot for this year. Continuing with Barry Bonds, the O-Peachy in a 9, and this card is so sharp. These are tough in a 9. The quality production. This card went way, way up. I bought it pre-pandemic, and then it went way up in value, and then came way down. So back to about what I paid. So I should have sold it at the top, but hey, we could all say that about lots of cards, I'm sure. And then the Topps Tiffany in a 9. So, this one's the rookie or the 86. What's my take on that? Is it the 86 Topps traded or the 87? Well, generally I would defer to the earlier year. So, 86. However, I'm a fan of more rookie cards. So I'd say, yeah, let the 86 be his rookie card and let the 87s be rookie cards as well. I'd rather have more. All right, I've got just one more for Topps. So I'm going to go ahead. Well, I'll show it first. The Toys R Us. I wanted this because I just thought, wow, that's such a beautiful card. And who doesn't love, food and beverage issues or different merchants like Toys R Us? I just thought, wow, the colors to me and that beautiful smile. I thought this is such a nice card that I really wanted to add one to my collection. And then I went for this fine 9 just to kind of, make it a little bit more exclusive, I guess you might say. Plus, I really love graded cards. I think it protects the card, makes them more liquid. I don't think the grading services are perfect by any means, but I think they do a pretty good job. All right, so that finishes out the 87 Bonds, but now what about everybody else? Everybody else from 87, well, and of course I've got the Steve Carlton, which I showed earlier, the Tiffany that Brian gifted me. But we're going to move on to the Ricky Henderson Topps Tiffany. The wood grain, I guess you maybe love them or hate them, or maybe you could be in the middle, I suppose. That's the third option. I like them. I think they're pretty sweet. And I kind of think that red goes well with the wood grain. Speaking of red going with the wood grain, how about this Reggie in a Gem 10? That's right, a Gem 10. This was only like $30. I think the seller wanted 50 and I offered 30, and nobody was buying it. Maybe it's because it's an older SGC. That green label, I will confess, doesn't necessarily go well with the card, but just cover up the label. Hey, it's a really, really nice card for $30 in a Gem Mint 10. And then sticking with Reggie, he was traded. So also 87 Reggie in a 9 with the A's. Tiffany as well. And so check out that wood grain glory. And now let's go ahead and move these so we can make a little room. We're still in 87. We're moving on to Nolan Ryan in a fine 9. And then let's see, my last 87, Mike Schmidt. So in a 10, in a Gem Mint 10. The reason I got this, as I recall, it was, not priced much more than a 9. So basically, generally for more modern cards like this, I generally like to stay in the 8 to 10 grade. And, I'll pick up a 10 if it doesn't cost me too much. Like let's say a 9 goes for $20 and a 10 goes for 30, or maybe a 9 goes for 30 and a 10 goes for 45 or something. I might just pick up the 10. Now, if a 9 goes for $30 and a 10 goes for 100, I'm just going for the 9. That's me personally. Unless I guess maybe possibly if it was just, one of my favorite cards ever or something, maybe I'd go for a 10. I don't know. But to me, it depends on that price differential, whether I go for 9 or 10. I'm fine with 8s too. And I try to avoid 7s. I couldn't tell you exactly why. I guess just because I figure for the 80s and 90s, I ought to be able to get 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I think those are pretty high grades, and I'm happy with half grades. That's fine as well. Now for 88, I've got the Maddux, of course, Tiffany that Brian gifted me. But moving on from that, we've got the Barry Bonds in an 88. Beautiful smile. Some of these early Bonds cards where he's got his smile on, I think, are just wonderful. And then moving to Henderson in a fine 9. Love the kind of the purple with the yellow there. Now, you might see, hey, I keep showing the same players. That's because I went for Tiffany runs. I was looking to complete a Tiffany base card run of Ricky Henderson, which I did, as well as Nolan Ryan, which I did, as well as Mike Schmidt, and as well as Reggie Jackson and Barry Bonds, at least for whatever years they had Tiffany cards. And then Nolan Ryan in a fine 9. And so check those out. 1988. Such a clean design, really nice design. All of these designs, I think, from the 80s are just wonderful. They've got their different strengths, if you will, of design. My last from 88, I love the colors on this. Now, he does not have a cap on, but, I'm not as big of a fan of cards without a cap, but to me, this one works. And that green and that purple, wow. And a Gem 10. Now, I will admit, with this one, so there were I couldn't find a graded one, and I wanted to complete my Schmidt run. So I probably, overpaid, or at least I paid, more for this. I probably should have just waited, but I wanted to complete my run, and this was, this is what I could find. And so I'm like, yep, I'll pay up a bit and complete my Schmidt run. So that's how I got that one. Well, now that I have it, hey, I'm keeping it, and, I'm not going to worry about it. It's a 10. Maybe I paid a little more for it, but that's okay. Life goes on, and I'm not unhappy about that. So we are moving now, of course, after 88 comes 89. And starting with B for Bonds, 89. 89. It might be my favorite. 89 Topps Tiffany might be my favorite. They're all my favorites. In a fine 9. And then after Bonds, the Ricky Henderson. In a near mint to mint 8. Yeah, I thought I might have a 9 of this hanging around somewhere. Actually, I feel like I do, and I didn't find it for this video, but anyway, maybe I do, maybe I don't, who knows. Here's the Topps Traded. I'll probably find it after this video. 89 Topps Traded Ricky Henderson. Love the colors on this. I love the black on the back. So to me, wow, those two 89 Tiffany Hendersons really go well together. Now it's bugging me a little bit because I think I have a 9, but hey, either I do or it's fake news, and life is good either way. So continuing with 89, we move to R, Nolan Ryan. Such a beautiful card in an SGC 8.5. I was an opportunist, Basically, I would look at the price, and as far as I could tell online, the quality of the card, and get what I thought was the best bang for the buck, I guess. Sticking with Nolan Ryan, 89 traded. Whoops, let's get some focus there. In an 8, Tiffany traded, and finally for 89, Chuck Norris, aka Mike Schmidt. Wow, love the colors on that. Wow, 89. I tell you what, these 80s cards, nostalgia kind of comes in waves. And the people are getting of that age where 80s nostalgia is going to come on, if it hasn't already. And I think that's going to, impact these cards. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows with value? I mean, collectibles are not something that we have to have, although you could make an argument that psychologically, having pastimes, and collectibles are a great pastime and a way to connect with others. So you could make an argument that people are desperate to connect with others in a positive way, sharing a hobby or an interest that they love. And so, that's going to keep the market humming. Well, we are moving on to 90, starting with, of course, Barry Bonds. Oh man, I love the colors on this. I really, really dig this design. The yellow. Hey, believe it or not, you can probably guess what I'm going to say next. This might be my favorite year of Topps Tiffany. Oh, well, we're into the 90s now. So, well, yeah, from the 90s, because we've got 90 and 91. The Topps Tiffany went 84 through 91. And the Ricky Henderson. Wow. in a 9.5. I think this is the only SGC 9.5, so that makes it really rare. And then the Nolan Ryan, 90 Topps Tiffany Nolan Ryan. You got to shout out Shane Shoebox Legends when you show this card. There's no way around it. And finally, my last, I was like, okay, do I need this for my Schmidt run? I went ahead and got it because it's post-playing days, but it's Turn Back the Clock, the year after he retired, and it harkens back to 1980. And of course, my buddy Dylan and Adam, Splendid Sports, and Dylan, Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, are really into Turn Back the Clock. They have a YouTube show called Turn Back the Clock. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish out my Schmidt run. Hey, this says Mike Schmidt with the 90 Topps Tiffany. And so maybe it was needed, maybe it wasn't needed. But Dylan, leave a comment saying, hell yeah, you needed that. Your run would not be complete without it. And then I'll know, okay, my run would not have been complete without it. All right, we're moving on to 91. 91 is probably my favorite Tiffany set. Yeah, the 91 Topps Tiffany Barry Bonds. I love that 40th anniversary logo. By the way, Topps is inconsistent. Sometimes they put their logos based on a 1951 start, sometimes based on a 1952 start, which is interesting. But anyway, I love it. These are kind of tough too. Some of these Tiffany years are relatively low production runs, like 5,000 or so. I think 91 might even be maybe 4,000. So they're tough to get in nice grades. Somebody might say, well, Adam, that's a lot of cards. Sure, but not that many when you think about it. This is in my mind, these are flagship cards, these Topps Tiffany's. And, if we're talking 5,000, that's not that many. And how many of them will grade, high? And there could be a lot of demand. There's a lot of demand for Topps cards, for Topps base cards for sure. Well, continuing on to Henderson. This is the Henderson All-Star. So when I did my Tiffany runs, I wasn't doing the All-Stars, but guess what happened? I colored outside the lines a little bit, and I said, oh, man, that is such a beautiful card. I'm going to go ahead and grab it as well. And then, of course, I've got his base card, and this might just be my favorite of all Tiffany's, although I don't even know. My favorite Tiffany card, it might be the Barry Bonds, probably 86 traded. It could be almost any of my 86 Topps cards, but it could be this card. I absolutely love this card, the 91 Topps Tiffany Rickey Henderson. And here's the deal. Showing all these Tiffany's just wouldn't be right if I did not also shout out Sammy SFI Sports Cards. I think I mentioned him earlier, but he's the one that got me excited about Tiffany cards, or at least he's one of the people that did, and also about Rickey Henderson as well. All right, well, we're not quite done with 91. So sticking with 91, we also have, let me move this kind of over here. Another horizontal card, Nolan Ryan, and wow. In a 9, both of these in the lofty grade of 9. Like, trying to find these two cards in a 9 and at a decent price too is not easy. Not easy at all. Well, that completes 91. Where do we go from here? Let me leave those up for a second while I talk about where we go from here. So, I was at the National in 2023 last year. And the last day that I was there at the National, and I saw this card, and I'm like, oh, I want it. And it was like $500 more than I had with me. But I'm like, I'm going to PayPal friends and family the additional $500 and go into a little hobby debt, so to speak. I mean, just debt to myself, not debt to any outside agency. And I said, yeah, I'm taking this bad boy home. And here it is. Brian, I know you'll love this. I know you've seen it before. The 93 Finest Barry Bonds Refractor. Oh, man. And the beginning of all the shine in the hobby right here. Wow. And I would like to pick up a couple more of these 93 Finest Refractors. Not of Barry Bonds. This one's fine. I mean, these are pretty spendy. But I would like to pick up a couple more. We'll see. we'll see what happens. But, you know, as I contemplate bigger purchases, I absolutely love that card. And then this one was not too much. In a 9, the 93 Finest Promos Nolan Ryan, which I think is such a stunning card. So beautiful. I love that color. And these are out of 5,000. I think they all say one of 5,000, meaning, you know, one of the 5,000, not number one. So, yeah, super stoked to get that. The Finest promos. Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and remove the promo here to make room. Or maybe I'll end up removing both of these cards. That sounds good. We are just near the end of my 90s cards. So let me go ahead and, I don't want to move any of them. I'll move this one at the moment. Moving on to 94. 94 Finest Refractors Barry Bonds. It's got a little greening, but, you know, I knew that when I bought it, and I was all right with it. I mean, would I like to avoid it? Sure, but it's really hard to avoid. I think it happens to most all of them over time. Even my understanding with these 90s refractors is people have pulled them out of packs many years later, and they had greening. So there's theories, you know, keep them out of the sunlight, yada, yada. But those theories, I think, have kind of been debunked, which, I mean, maybe sunlight could, you know, speed up the greening. I don't know. But the lack of sunlight doesn't guarantee there won't be greening because they've came green out of the packs after they've been in the packs for years. So, you know, who knows? I've kind of just said, hey, I'll embrace the greening. I guess if it were really blotchy or something, that might be a problem. But if it's a nice, glorious, uniform green like this on his face, I will embrace it. Tough card. And from B to H, Henderson, 94 Finest Ricky Henderson refractor. Oh, wow. I mean, just think, we are talking about some of the earliest refractors in the hobby here. I mean, these have a big place in hobby history. Okay, I only have one more card to show. You know what I think I'm going to do? I am going to go ahead and move the Henderson because I think it'll make sense. So there you see, you know, my one card from 93, well, plus the Nolan Ryan Finest promo. But then my two cards from 94, both Finest refractors. But now I'm going to go ahead and move the glorious Henderson to show my one card from 95. The 95 Finest. I mean, wow. Barry Bonds refractor. Wow. Do I love vintage cards? Absolutely. Are these vintage? Well, not by most people's definitions. But do I love these 80s and 90s as well? Yes. Now, I don't know that much about them. And, you know, you've seen every single card I have. I'm trying to be selective and not let my collection, you know, go in too many directions, trying to keep some hobby focus. I may be 60 years old, but I'm still kind of a young one in the hobby, you know, as far as vintage baseball cards and some of these newer cards. So I'm still kind of figuring out what I like, but look at those three shine. I mean, is that the definition of glorious or what? Some of the earliest refractors. Let me turn this camera around. All right, everybody. Thank you for sharing in my joy. I'd appreciate it if you go check out Brian's channel. I will leave a link. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Take care, my collecting brothers and sisters.